Hello. Before this video begins, I would like to preface a handful of things. Number 1. Anyone mentioned in this video, including Gwamgo and Arlo, Shrimp's real name, I would like to not be harassed. The reason I use Shrimp's real name is, just as she has said for mine, it's out there and already public. As well, this is for my own convenience whenever editing and putting together this video. 2. This video will not serve as a defense or a one-sided argument similar to a Google Doc or anything like that. This video will serve as a timeline of our entire relationship from May 4th, 2024, this was the earliest date I could find, all the way to December 17th, 2024, the last message we sent before breaking contact completely. This is so everyone can form their own opinions of this toxic relationship. There will be 1 or 2 parts where I defend myself, but that is to debunk the label that Arlo and Gwamgo put on me. Number 3. I will provide ample evidence for things I say in this video, if possible. However, as I've stated publicly many times, some claims in this video will be made with evidence missing. This is because I cannot provide evidence for things that happened physically due to their sort, iMessages which I've long deleted due to trauma from the relationship, Snapchat messages due to their sort, and not having them. There will be one section later in the video where I'll be showcasing Snapchat messages to showcase Arlo's instigative nature alongside her tendency to bend stories and words. 4. Many screenshots will contain deleted messages, context on both sides. At multiple points during our relationship, Arlo and I mass deleted our messages in hopes of either moving on, or out of fear of our messages being cropped and taken out of context and used against us. This fear is the reason I now log and document everything now, because of what she has continued to do. 5. And this one is very serious. There will be topics brought up in this, including mentions of suicide baiting, mentions of possible mental abuse, mentions of self-harm. If you are unable to handle topics like this, then I ask that you do not watch this video. As stated in the introduction, I will defend one claim made against me by Arlo now. I am not an abuser. I've admitted before that, in the past, I had a silver tongue, alongside a tendency to hide things. This remains true. Arlo can even tell you this, that during our relationship, I had past relationships with my ex, who will remain anonymous by the name Star, that are now my friend and or best friends. On the screen right now are a handful of paragraphs from friends, both online and IRL, that have known me for years, with many of these people having seen the relationship between me and Arlo respectively. Arlo has claimed a handful of times that I'm a violent person, and in past statements within her, quote, everything document, she would claim that I hit her. These claims have now been changed in the document, and in response on her Twitter, to be towards another ex of hers, one she claims has hit her. Back in 2024, and even in past years, I was a very weak individual, both mentally and physically. Back in high school, I was bullied relentlessly, which pushed me into quiet and submissive mentality. This, combined with my normal mentality to love and spread positivity that I adopted from my mother, made me a very frail person. This is why I saw video games as an escape from reality, which then spiraled into my career in game development. It wasn't until after Arlo and I's relationship, which I slowly began to grow a spine and go to the gym multiple times a week. With this being said, I will now begin the timeline. Back on May 4th, 2024, I ended up spending most of my time from 12 p.m. all the way to about 5 to 6 p.m. in a boba tea shop that I will leave unnamed. I was there waiting for a handful of my friends to be free so we could hang out. Only one of these friends will be mentioned here by the name of Red. This is not their online name or their IRL name. Red met up with me about an hour or so after I had, to which we spent most of our time talking, eating, and drinking tea. It wasn't until 4 p.m., after I went to the restroom and came back, that Red had passed me a sticky note. It was from one of the workers there at the time, this being Arlo. The note asked if I was single, and if she could have my number or Snapchat. I had not properly dated someone before this. There was my best friend back in freshman year of high school, yet this was about 6 months to a year, and more of us testing the waters. There were 1 or 2 others, those more shorter or an online relationship, that I wouldn't consider proper anymore. One of those contained mental abuse and manipulation done to me by the other to myself, making me fear love. Red was encouraging me to pursue this opportunity, while I was uncertain. But by the time we left the shop around 5 p.m., I had handed her a note containing my Snapchat, Discord, and phone number. We would primarily message via iMessage first, then move over to Discord the day following. The day concluded with Red and I heading over to our friends, meeting up, and playing music. The initial honeymoon phase of our relationship lasted 2 to 3 weeks. During this time, things had felt good. There were many times in which I questioned if I was doing things correctly or annoying her, to which she reaffirmed me. We both would reaffirm one another constantly. Alongside this, I would try to pay for meals for her constantly due to her financial situation, something I won't be going too much into depth with. I had no proper idea of what love was at the time, so I assumed buying things, giving lots of time to other people, and always being loving and reaffirming were things to do. Including this, I bought her an Uber away from her house to a friend's one day, following a very serious situation which occurred at her place. During the first month, I had spent almost entire weeks with Arlo. I do not have concrete time frames of how much time we spent together, and the only one I recall is a Thursday, where I went to her house at 8 to 9 a.m. and left at 8 to 9 p.m., this all being during my summer break, which meant I had plenty of time to spend. We would spend plenty of time at her house, playing things she enjoyed like Dress to Impress, and so on. It would be around this time, the 1st of June, that my social battery would be completely drained from all the time we had spent with each other. Yet, I continued to try and push on. I had wanted Arlo to come experience and listen into my hobby, Dungeons & Dragons, something which had become a core part of my identity during high school, and even to this day. When she had denied wanting to come listen in, we'd do it digitally over Roll20, my friends and I, and only wanted to come over and spend time with me, I had interpreted it as her not caring for my hobby. When we had tried to play things I enjoyed previously, like Pillar Chase 2, a game I worked for at the time, she would only play a match or two, then want to go play something she enjoyed, usually disregarding my interest. On the screen are images of a paragraph I sent in which I expressed my want to be alone for a bit, and wanting a day to myself so I could recharge my social battery. Yet I had still wanted her to maybe come listen in on D&D. During this time, I was also in a VC, as I had invited her to my private server in which I had very close friends in. After I had done so, she would update her stats to something along the lines of all for nothing, and proceed to cancel our plans we had for the week. This had caused me to shut off, going completely silent. Arlo would then remove her from her bio as well, changing it to 3 dots. She would then proceed to start spamming me, calling me on my phone and Discord, alongside pinging me, to which I blew up, asking to be left alone. This would conclude this day. The following day, Arlo would threaten to break up with me. I would start profusely apologizing, to which Arlo would direct everything at me as being the bad guy in the situation. If I was or not, I will leave up to everyone to decide. I didn't want to be alone again. This was my first proper relationship I had had with anyone. It felt like what others had described love is like to me, so I would spend time asking questions and apologizing, to which Arlo would show her first attempt at suicide, mentioning how she would be holding a glass of water and pills in times when she needed reaffirmation. This argument would conclude around an hour later, in which we both forgave one another for the incident and continued our relationship. The next day I would continue to buy stuff like food, and she would be planning a get-together for Sunday. This would be a failure in her eyes, with her overheating and everything ripping and falling apart. Nevertheless, we got together, I loved it, and showed how much I loved for it, and we spent lots of time together. On June 8th, 2024, Arlo would relapse and start cutting herself. On this exact day, a friend of mine was threatening suicide, something they had done multiple times, as they were a very suicidal person. I had chosen to help my friend this day due to how they were genuinely on the border, which I managed to help them not go through with it. After this, Arlo would tell me she was alright, to which I had believed. Previously, as I was helping my friend, in an attempt to manage both situations, I had Arlo message me when she felt the need to do something, to which I tried to respond. You can see this in our message logs in which I constantly tried to respond to her. After this situation had concluded, I checked with Arlo, making sure she was okay. She asked to be left alone, which I planned to allow her to be. In deleted messages, Arlo said that she had wanted to break up, alongside wanting to kill herself. I had worked to reaffirm her, but she kept saying and going through with it. She would attempt to push me away, to which I would remain by her side and try to reaffirm her. There were plenty of deleted messages from her end in these situations, so by the end I had perceived everything as being done. On screen now is the message Arlo sent me the next morning. In this message, she would bash me, claiming that I didn't care about her due to me messaging her instead of being there for her over my friend, saying how I didn't care about her, how I wasn't caring for her, and plenty more. I had asked to be left alone after this, as a way she was talking and attempting to manipulate me reminded me of a past relationship. The next day, things would be fine. However, I need to provide crucial information about something in order to continue. In the Gwamgo video, he claims that I defended an artist who drew art of cheese pizza. That will be what I refer to this as. So, I would like not only to debunk this, but to go into the situation. Mento is an old acquaintance of mine during the F&B era of Roblox. Many things have come out about Mento. However, I think before this, I should mention something. Mento does not exist. Mento, and their entire existence as a person, is a lie. Everything I ever thought I knew about Mento was a lie. Their age, person, personality, individual, life, and plenty more are all lies that they made in order to appear different and cool. I do not know who the person behind Mento truly is, only that their life was a lie. Mento was incredibly manipulative, and that shaped me, mentally, into being a heavy people pleaser. Mento did not draw cheese pizza. Mento had done a cover of an FNF song that contained mildly suggestive imagery. I do not recall the song nor the imagery, unfortunately. They did all of this during a VC call with me, and many others there. When they asked if anyone wanted to be part of the cover, a user, who I will provide the fake name to, named Grand, asked to be part of it. Without second thought, the song was made, the art drawn, and the cover posted. In a turn of events, and due to hatred for Mento at the time, due to a previous incident, Soul-Driven Love and their friends would make an expos document on Mento. I do not recall the contents of any of it fully, but this would lead to Mento becoming suicidal, resulting in the incident of the previous day. When Mento would beg for Grand to stand up for them, since they had asked to be in the cover and such, Grand would remain silent, siding with Soul and their friends and banishing Mento from the internet. As stated previously, everything about Mento relating to who they are and such is a lie, from who they were to who they were on the internet. All I know for certain is the situation that happened. I will not defend what they did as knowledge. Sorry. I know now I will not defend what they did as knowledge I know now has me conflicted. With all this being said, let us continue. Arlo would ask me how Mento was, to which I responded. At this time, I was hanging out with my best friend, a female who we will call Star. Star and I originally dated back in freshman year of high school, but ever since we broke it off, she came out as Arrow Ace, and we've both been best friends since. I would tell Arlo that Star and I were watching a show called Bungo Stray Dogs. This would cause Arlo to spiral, her believing that Star and I were possibly dating. I reaffirmed her that we weren't, including pinning messages to the chat stating that I had no interest in her, and moved on. She would also delete a ton of messages during this conversation. I did not recall what these messages said. On June 10th, 2024, Arlo would send me a message, the one on screen currently. This followed me having invited her to my private friend server and having introduced her to them. I will start this off with this. The person mentioned here, we will call him Lapis, is not sexist or anything, so I do not know where this came from. She would send me a long message, not only ridiculing my friend, but also framing me as being at fault for not being there for her constantly. I would like to point out that during this entire section, this entire long-winded session that we've talked about, has been within the span of 5 days. Days where, even between all this, we spent multiple days together, even after all the arguments. Meaning, literally everything that has been said so far was in a 5-day time span. I had snapped, finally being at my lowest and explaining how I was a terrible boyfriend. This was, at the time, my first proper relationship after all. Arlo would change her status to all caps during this time, and after I had sought to explain how this was all becoming too much and overbearing, Arlo would twist it on me again, claiming me to be shifting blame, and so on. When I tried to apologize, she denied it, which is the context behind one of the cropped screenshots that Arlo often uses to defend herself. On this day, I had returned to her house and gave her stuff back. I was tired of the relationship and wanted to move on. This included a sketchbook she gave me that I had doodled a few things in. On screen now is a massive ramble from her. After this massive ramble, she would attempt suicide. She messaged me here and in iMessages, but I do not have those iMessages, in hopes of getting my attention again. It worked. Despite my reluctance to come back to the relationship, I did, hiding my emotions and feelings from my friends who I went to hang out with right after this incident. What preceded this was me talking her out of stuff. Sorry. I've written this I've tried to record this in 2 takes, so I'm trying to get through it. What preceded this was me talking her out of stuff, getting her to throw up the pills she had taken in her attempt to commit suicide. I do not know if she actually attempted this or if this was bait. She also sent her friends to harass me, this being 2 numbers that started with 423. I will pause right here real quick to mention this. Arlo uses burner phone data. One of the points Gwamgo talked about in his video was my failure to censor her phone number. That's because it's not her phone number. Arlo has admitted to me that she used burner phone data in order to create temporary phone numbers. She used these multiple times during our relationship, not only to harass me, but in order to get my attention. So there's a chance that the numbers that were used here during this were her using burner data to get my attention. I would talk Arlo through things, explaining how her environment could be a result of her declining mental health. As well, she tried to usher me towards cutting off my best friend Star, saying it would help her mentally. I told her constantly that we needed time apart, to which she would keep saying that she wanted me. I kept trying to reassure Arlo, and this eventually resulted in us getting back together again. 4 days passed. On June 14th, 2024, Arlo would threaten suicide again. I should say that my messages, alongside a couple of her own, are deleted from this conversation. Therefore, it appears as a one-sided conversation. However, I will provide the proof as it is. After all of this, I would need another break, telling Arlo that she needed help, and she would then get herself admitted to a psychiatric hospital for a week. During this time, she kept updating me, telling me how she was doing good and better of the sorts. When she came out, she seemed fine, and we resumed our relationship, including hanging out together. Until June 25th, 2024. Arlo and I would get into an argument one more time. The context of this one is gone, and I don't recall it. Arlo threatened suicide again, wanting me to come to her funeral. This would spiral into me getting upset. Once more, another screenshot that Arlo used to defend herself. After the argument and everything had concluded, she would claim that I abused her, that she never raised her voice or anything of the sort. Arlo even admits to everything she said, that everything she said in these images that she didn't want to say or do in them. Above, or on the screen now, are more images attached. She would also threaten suicide again right after this. I didn't want it to end again, yet she flipped it back on me being the problem. More images are on screen now. With this being said, this was the end of our relationship. A month and a half. After this, Arlo would create the everything document in July. Around this time, she would also email my college, claiming that I was a violent person and that I had plans to shoot up my college. This email is now attached to the screen right now. Around this time as well, Arlo would contact the Pillar Chase 2 team, a game that I worked moderation for at the time. Arlo would frame the arguments in her favor, taking advantage of my mental state during this time to get me removed from the team. She would also use screenshots from a friend of mine that I will leave unnamed, someone that she even used in the everything doc, twisting his words and making him appear like he hated me and such, that I manipulated him. This would later be false, and this person and I are now friends. Well, back to being friends. At some point in this time frame, we had also talked one more time privately. This was via iMessages again, sorting everything out and moving on. I don't have these conversations anymore, unfortunately. I do have a timeline image I'll be showing here, explaining my original deleted thread alongside the older one. Months would pass, and I found myself some work working as an admin for another Roblox game at the time. Arlo would join the server, go to my friend who owned the game, and try to get me removed. This was also around the time that she, alongside burner numbers, would harass me via iMessage again. I do not have these images, unfortunately. However, on screen now are a handful of inconsistencies pointed out by my friend, alongside Arlo mentioning that I hadn't contacted or done anything to her since our relationship. Arlo would contact me on December 11th, 2024. I recall the contents of this discussion, however, for her sake and privacy, I will keep them private, as the conversation had heavy topics and themes that I cannot confirm nor deny being true or not. However, by the end of it, we added one another again once more on Discord, as indicated here. During this brief period of time, Arlo and I debated on meeting up again, but nothing came to fruition. To end this entire section off, on December 17th, 2024, Arlo would mention pursuing a relationship in a now deleted message by herself. When I told her that I didn't want to pursue anything at the time, including that we'd talk and just see how things went, she would go on the offensive. At this point, At the end of this, I ceased carrying messages which showed empathy. Arlo has said before that I said on call that we wanted to do over, but I do not recall that at all. With this, we are finished with the relationship side of things, as well as the primary timeline. We would cut contact completely after this. More so, I cut contact completely after this, and both moved on. During this time, I found work for Forsaken. Now we will get into modern day. In the talks Arlo and I had, we both agreed to take down our respective documents and threads. On screen now is an image where she clearly states that she backtracked on our agreement, and we would both move on. While I took down my thread, Arlo never removed her document. You can see in the image on screen now that directly says that she didn't take it down as she wanted to keep my actions public. We will wrap back around to this conversation here soon. The document, and everything relating to Arlo, remained dormant. Occasionally, I would get messaged about the document, to which I responded that we sorted it out privately and so on. This would be until the day I took over Forsaken. Around this time, many people would get sent the document, which contained my real name. I'm a very private person. I do not like divulging a lot about my real life. After this, I made a thread about the document, which you can find on my dormant Twitter. With my name being there, and with a YouTuber like Gwamgo having contacted me, please reference the images on screen now, to a conversation we had. After this conversation, I would contact Arlo once more on Snapchat, asking for either the document to be taken down, per our agreement we had made months back, or for my IRL name to be removed from it right after. Arlo would deny doing both, claiming that my name was already public info, using websites like Indeed and Public Records as a defense for her case, so it didn't get removed, alongside her saying that she wouldn't due to it giving her PTSD. After this, we would catch up and talk for a bit. The conversation was friendly and just contained topics about our interests. One of these topics was K-pop demon hunters. She would even message her friend during this conversation, stating how proud she was of me. This image is on screen now. This all changed the very next day. At this time, Arlo would become more instigative, claiming that I told Gwamgo that she would retract her statements and such. This, clearly, during our conversation, which Gwamgo can also show images of, as well as what I put on screen right now, is something I never said. She would continue to instigate, denying our deal, which she admits happened, claiming that I deleted it and deleted messages and such that she had wanted me to put in, something I had never done. She would try to use the Soul situation as me claiming that I continued to lie, trying to use it as a gotcha as me having not changed, even saying that she doesn't regret anything she did during our relationship. I will flash up a bunch of images now of this conversation. I should also mention that alongside my name being posted inside the document, the everything document, for a couple of days my home area was also in there before Arlo censored it, using images from the Snapchat conversation. I do not have the proof of this, but I recall panicking to my father about this. She would send the Markiplier face image multiple times during this conversation, showing that she wasn't taking anything seriously despite the material and such of the conversation. After all of this, Arlo would admit in a VC to a close, now ex, friend of hers that she was doing this all for attention. Take this claim with a grain of salt, as there is no proof and only the word of this person, which is on screen now. But considering it's in her bio that she was the creator of this document, and that she told a friend this, I find myself inclined to believe that this was the situation. I would send all this to Gwamgo, to which he responded that if he had questions, he'd reach out to me. He never did. Excuse me. It's been hard to write this and talk about this. There's more to be mentioned, mainly about Arlo and how she is, including her tendency to flip on a dime, constantly flaunt the document everywhere she goes in an attempt to gain popularity, and so on. All told by this ex-friend of hers. These claims lack image proof mostly, only the message proof which is on screen now, so please take them with a grain of salt. With that, I would like us to break into the next section. This is a shorter section, one I don't plan on dedicating a lot of time to. However, Arlo isn't a stranger to endless internet crusades against me. Even dating back to our initial breakup, with her using burner phone numbers, Arlo has dozens of alt accounts both on Twitter and Reddit alike. On screen now is hopefully a showcase of a numerous amount of these accounts. She would use these accounts to endlessly comment and boost her posts and tweets with things that she wants. A handful of these are on screen right now as stated. I don't really have much else to show here, but I mainly just want to show that Arlo isn't a stranger to going on these crusades. She did this during my time with Pillar Chase 2, she's now doing it here. I've known about the Gwamgo video for 4 months. Even if Arlo called Gwamgo a, and I quote, petty drama YouTuber, quote, end quote, or something along those lines in our Snapchat conversations that she won't show, she ended up going to him and working together to create that video. I not only figured this would happen, but was also told that this would happen by said ex-friend, which she told the video was being made to. After the video was made, and without my knowledge, or permission, or want, a handful of friends, people who have helped me make the statements, saw the comments and things people were saying about me, defending me as they knew me during the relationship. Following this, Arlo and Gwamgo's writer would randomly jump in, calling them tools in the R-slur. These things are on screen now, however they are possibly censored as I don't want this video to go down. Alongside this, Arlo claims that she knew me best from our relationship. However, with everything presented, I hope this shows that she didn't. In fact, I admit I hid my past relationships from her as I didn't want them affecting our relationship. Use Star as an example. I only bring this up because I've admitted to my past faults and mistakes countless times. However, these two, and Arlo especially, refuse to admit to theirs and apologize. This is all for this section. I will be going through a handful of claims right now in order to debunk them very quickly, as well as conclude all of this. Gwamgo claims that I defended Soul still, or that I defend Soul still. No, I don't. I haven't for a long while. In your video yourself, you used an old screenshot to try and back up your claim. I also cannot go further into the legalities thing, which you do not understand. We've talked with our lawyer, and she even said that we'd be in a breach if we jump ship. Something I put in the open note document I posted at the time of writing this about 2 weeks ago, probably. I have genuinely no clue what the term love bombing is. I like giving compliments and being nice. If that's considered love bombing, or whatever the term is, then sure, I guess. I do not have contact with Menzo. I haven't for a long while. With all this being said, I hope you can form your own conclusions and ideas of this timeline of events. At the time of recording this, I'm debating if I should compile a drive containing all the screenshots of conversations and such I've taken. If I have, then it will be in the description below. I hope that after watching this, you see me not as an abuser. I'm not what they label me as. I don't really know how to end this due to how heavy of a topic this is. So, with all of this being said, I thank you for your time watching through this video. I thank everyone for watching this. I wish you all well. And once again, do not harass anybody mentioned in this video. Take care.